Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Dagoth Damnation. That's what it feels like anyway. Can a god damn themselves to oblivion? Cause I just might after I'm done reading this bullshit Nerevar wrote for you. Whatever, let's just get on with it. The story begins. Atop his mountain fortress stood upon stone and soot, the great Lord Dagoth looked to his lands. He turned his gaze to the many friends and companions of the Nerevarine. Let us see how Nerevar's lovely companions are doing this evening, he said to himself. With a slight rumble, his eyes glowed and his vision ever widened to see all he wished across Nirn. High in the sky stood Joram Stormsail upon his mighty ship, the Blood Moon, a mighty Dwemer airship. Do any of those even still work? I've not seen any since that Solstheim incident. Next to him, leaning on the banister, was Busty Braixen, his second in command and expert deck swabber. Busty Braixen was the best of his crew, able to fit anything in their bottom. Like the bottom of the ship? That is what you meant, right, Nerevar? Nerevar? Okay. What a fine full moon night it is, my Busty Braixen. What do you say, would you like to weigh my anchor and go have a gander at the booty tonight? Joram said to Braixen. With a curt nod, they both turned to the stairs and made their way below deck, where no one at all could be heard howling and moaning. Okay, we're like 2 paragraphs in and I already hate it. At least you didn't spend like 10 pages describing a dress or something. Below deck, in a room all their own, Juno Hoslow, the Sanguine Knight, was polishing Sir Gideon Ofnir's scepter of knowledge. Just after Braixen and Joram passed the doorway of the room, Sir Gideon Ofnir the All-Knowing smiled and whispered, "The tale of House Hoslow may be writ in blood, but ours will be upon the stars." Nerevar, to use your own slang, this is some cringy shit. Okay, fine, I'll keep going. No need to get your scepter in a twist. As the four were getting busy in their respective quarters, a weird little plague possum wandered into the airship's kitchen, where Dr. Popcorn Chicken, a master of the culinary arts, was working. The little possum, hardly bigger than a mouse, slipped into the pantry to partake of a midnight snack. The moment he bit into his delicious snack, his fate was sealed. Dr. Popcorn Chicken, you see, could tell when the food was done by the mere sound of its sizzle. He could hear the very atoms resonate, and as such, the tiny crunch of a crumb gave the poor possum away. What an oddly exaggerated power. Couldn't give him the power to just instantly cook it or something. Nope, he can literally hear the atoms. Suddenly, the cabinet door slams open. Before the weird little plague possum can react, he is snatched up by the doctor. "Well, my furry little friend, you didn't even have the courtesy to ask first." The possum shivered in fear as he tried to struggle, but it was all for naught. He could not escape the grasp of his captor, and now he was convinced his end would be near. "Oh, don't worry, little opossum. You'll get your fill by the end of the night." The doctor laughed as he carried him away. "Elsewhere. Wait, as in elsewhere or just somewhere else?" "Somewhere else, okay." Elsewhere, a group of adventurers along with the Nerevarine fight side by side against a band of orc raiders. The orcs were relentless. Nerevar had tried to seduce the orcs. Of course you did. Why is that your go-to tactic for dealing with orcs? They want to kill you, not fuck you, Nerevar. Okay, fine, I'm reading. Nerevar had tried to seduce the orcs along with his gorgeous companion Feather and Scales, of whom the name suggests, was of beautiful emerald green shade of scales and brightly colored feathers. What Nerevar had failed to realize was that the orcs did not care for scaly lizards. Yeah, no shit, Nerevar, they'd probably just cave your skull in and eat you. No, I'm not being racist, you're just an idiot. I swear, you're the bard that tries to seduce the fucking dragon in D&D, aren't you? Blah, blah, blah. Tried to seduce, but failed. Something. The group fled. Wait. The group fled out through the gate of the orc stronghold, the orcs hot on their tail. The histories don't tell of whom betrayed Rurk, but one of the group lifted Rurk from the ground and tossed him mightily over the wall, where he landed in the midst of the orcs. The orcs surrounded Rurk and said, "Oh, we're gonna have fun with you," lifting them up by their hind legs. Wait, hind legs? Is this character a dog or something? Rurk, he barked. Oh gods, he is a dog. Now, who's being racist? Orcs hate lizards, but dogs are fine, I guess. Nerevar. No, I'm skipping this part. Nerevar and his companions traveled to the Clockwork City to seek the aid of Sotha Sil, the Magus and his business associate, your local Foundation agent. Nerevar, it has been some time. 10 years, in fact. 10 years it had been. The orcs were rising and attacking all over since Jorum's airship tragically crash-landed into their main stronghold of Orsinium. Someone had leaned into the forward throttle on the main control panel and snapped it off, presumably whilst enjoying a particularly spicy evening with Connor Runda. The crash turned a candlelit evening into an inferno of catastrophe. Nerevar, I hate you. First, when the fuck did we transition forward in time? All you said between the airship and the orcs was elsewhere, not 10 fucking years later. And while I hate to ask, what about myself? Based on the intro, I've just been staring off into space like a Down-syndromed zombie watching the orcs sack my lands for 10 years. I'll keep reading, but this is bad and you should feel bad. One of Nerevar's companions, Michigan Hoplite, stepped forward. We need the help of both you and the Foundation. We must go back and ensure this tragedy does not come to pass. Both the Magus and agent look at one another and back to the group. Your local Foundation agent speaks. We would have to break a numerous amount of rules and regulations merely to attempt such a thing. What makes you think we would help you? Maxwell Ferris, another of Nerevar's companions, whom stood a good foot above the rest of the group, spoke up. If we do not do something, your regulations won't matter. Those orcs will get here sooner or later and they'll fuck, kill, and eat you. Not necessarily in that order. Okay, I gave you a lot of shit, but that last part's probably accurate. Also, time travel? Really, Nerevar? Very well, in the name of our old friendship, Nerevar, I shall assist you, Sotasil proclaimed. The group followed along as the two master sorcerers led on. Down twisting halls and corridors, past hundreds, nay, thousands of doors of metal and stone. Experiments, subjects, all manner of creatures and secrets lay hidden in these halls. Finally, they stop in a room that possesses 2 empty containment vessels and a strange apparatus in the center of the room. We do not possess an Elder Scroll here. The last one I acquired willed itself away, as they often do. Thus, we will have to make do. Your local Foundation agent says as he begins tapping buttons on the apparatus. Suddenly, 2 entities appear in one of the containment vessels and the other fills with a few dozen marsupials of a white coat. This is Thomas Vasquez. He has the unique ability to split himself into as many new selves as he desires, providing he has the space to do so. This is his first and hopefully only split. Thomas Vuong. Say hello, Thomas. Both Thomases wave their hands and give a curt hello before devolving into asking for snacks, video games, and old vintage porn VHS tapes. Yes, we shall accommodate you when we are done. Now in this container, we have a number of marsupials known as opossum in their native land. Notably, opossum have a resistance to diseases and conditions other life do not. This apparently is caused by exotic particles that emit from their bodies. We shall thus be combining the exotic particles of these opossum and the energy from Thomas's split to fuel a trans-dimensional vortex created using soul gems to propel you back in time. Nerevar, that makes no god's damned sense. I can't begin to go into the absolute lunacy of what I just read out loud. Fuck it. Sitting upon the flight deck, E. Miller is having a delectable lunch. A wondrous foot long upon a fine herb and cheese breading. Moist lettuce and tomato tops the thick meats of... Hang on. Nerevar, this is 15 fucking pages just describing E. Miller eating a Subway sandwich. Who is this even for? Food fetish? Please stop, I don't want to know. Suddenly, as E. Miller's lips graze the edge of the foot long, the airship shakes. Lights of purple and blue lash out as a group of 6 topple out of a portal onto the deck. Upon standing up, Sox Mink exclaims, "Wait a minute, weren't there only 5 of us before?" The group all look at Sheogorath, whom smiles wide, exclaiming, "This is so exciting." They all shake off their confusion and turn to run towards the control room with Sheogorath snaps his fingers and everyone's clothes disappear. You'll have to be naked to get his attention, trust me, Sheogorath says, his logic rather questionable. The 5 chosen, Nerevar, Soxmink, Aladale, young Mystery Mane, and Juralek Telvanni all rush below deck, clad only in skin and scales, trying to keep focus on the task at hand. Sheogorath looks to E. Miller, mouth open, staring at the scene with sandwich in hand. Ooh, tasty. Hope you brought a hoagie for everyone. Everyone bursts into the control room, naked as the day they were born, screaming and yelling at Connor Runda and his lover to get off the control panel. They both leap up in a panic, and everyone takes a deep breath of relief. Suddenly, the entire ship halts with a slam, the worry returning to their faces. A wild Godzilla appeared and had grabbed the ship from midair. Okay, you were starting to get really serious and descriptive, but now we're just doing this, are we? Godzilla, a giant dark-scaled monster, bosom swaying in the wind, stretched its long tongue out with a roar as it chomps into the airship, devouring several of its crew and vital components. Upon a nearby hillside stands Jasharim, mouth agape as the scene unfolds. "Hayden," he exclaims, "stop pissing and come look at this." Hayden, no last name, walks up next to him, and they both watch the scene. Jasharim looks down and raises an eyebrow. "You could have at least pulled your pants up first. I can only focus on one view at a time, you know." Meanwhile, Ian Ramirez, navigator for the Blood Moon airship, hands from a busted scaffolding, only inches from the creature's tongue, its hot breath like plumes of steam engulfing the entire ship. "Nerevar, no, you did not put Vor into this. I'm skipping to the next page." Godzilla, bored and aroused. "Why? Is that necessary? Is someone going to fuck the giant lizard? Is its dripping lizard cooch going to flood a small hamlet? I don't understand." Godzilla tosses the ship away. At the foot of Godzilla stood Deadbeat Ronin and Aristo Rat. They held mighty enchanted weapons and stood ready for battle when Deadbeat Ronin shouted, "You won't be the only monster I've caught today. The other one is Chlamydia." The airship crashes into a small town notable for a tavern known as Shaddy Club. Everyone on the ship, shaken and confused, makes their way out and heads inside Shaddy Club to simply sit down and have a rest. Yet rest turns into a night of fun and debauchery. Jez Inderil and Jameson Trogger, both regulars of Shaddy Club, buy rounds of drinks for their new companions as everyone shares stories of their wild adventures and sensual experiences. So what? Everyone survived the crash of a giant Dwemer airship, having been tossed at Mach speed into Nirn? How convenient, Nerevar. I guess the only one that probably died was raiyk being eaten by orcs. No? Oh, right. The time travel bit undoes that part, doesn't it? I hate time travel stories, but everyone just casually walks in this bar? Jorum's ship destroyed the town, and you're just hanging out, having an orgy. Unfortunately, their celebration would be far too soon. Unbeknownst to them, at the moment of their journey through time, "Pull the lever, Mr. Grimm," Sotasil said, pointing vaguely in his direction. Mr. Grimm pulled the lever, and at the moment the time rift opened, and the five were sucked inside, the portal became unstable. The energy destabilized the containment cells, and the two subjects, Thomas and Thomas, became fused with the many uncaged marsupials. What came of this could only be described as the true form of the opossum. "I always feared this would happen," your local Foundation agent said, gazing upon the now 20-foot-tall beast that took up half the chamber. "They have become the opossum supremacist." The beast made an odd noise as it burst out of the building and through a portal into Tamriel itself. Sothasil held his head in pain. "What have we done? It must be stopped, or else the opossum will spread across Tamriel like a plague." And so they did. A group of people, Apotheus, Lord Heater, Meronimur Tevash of House Redoran, formed the Marsupial Eradicators, a guild bent on stopping the beast. An opposite group formed known as the Cult of the Opossum, worshipping the beast, Certified Hyena, Dr. Clitoris, Clifford Freud, and Gojira Tanaka the Avali. All opposed the Eradicators, stating the marsupials to be our allies and the future of our world. They believed the opossum would transform or impregnate every living creature and spread across all of Nirn, eventually bringing peace and prosperity to all. The end. The end? You can't just make a war of the marsupials and end it there. Where's the rest? There's 27 more volumes? Is that them? Yeah, fuck that. I apologize for whatever that was. To anyone who found this episode as distasteful as I did, don't worry, because I'm taking over the Dagoth Duration. I suppose it definitely could have been a lot worse. I mean, we are on Mertube, not Sanghub, so at least it wasn't just outright porn. I don't think Nerevar missed any names, but there are like 42, so that is a lot of characters to fit into a dumb story littered with innuendo. However, I think this concept isn't a bad idea, minus the softcore smut. And so, for the next Dagoth Duration, I will begin a vaguely D&D style story adventure whose choices will be determined by you, our lovely patrons. I will be making a Patreon post with a survey to determine the genre of story we shall embark upon in these durations, and you all shall be the parties of adventurers and perhaps villains. Though with 42 characters, this is going to get a bit chaotic, so bear with me. Also, I obviously can't keep up with 42 different character sheets, so it will be more of simple dice rolls with events playing out as I see them. But at the end of each duration, I will give some sort of choice, be it grandiose or mundane, to move the story forward, that I shall also create a survey post for each month. That being said, feel free to pick almost any race or class you desire from whatever, and put it in a comment on the Patreon post, and I shall see to it that you shall be dubbed the... If you don't choose anything, though, I'll leave the choice up to Nerevar, and we've all seen how that goes. With that being said, apologies again for Nerevar's fatherless behavior. You are all truly wonderful. Have a good night.